We're so back. That's also the motto Syracuse football entered the Dome with last Friday. It's a rubber match bout with Liberty. The Orange took it in 2019, but the Flames left a sour taste in everyone's mouth last season. Could SU snatch the best of three tilt?
And now it's just over 6 weeks until Syracuse takes the court for the first time in the 2021 season. Plenty of new faces and a fresh 27-game slate opening the year against Monmouth. We'll bring in our women's basketball reporter, Steven Sklar, to chat some hoops and what to expect this season from the ladies.
Plus, Syracuse men's soccer matched up with Duke. Here's the situation. The Orange are winless against the Blue Devils in the last half decade. So it's time for a Cuse triumph, right? Well, we're not here to spoil the fun. So why not start it? It's on the bench. Let's get it rolling. Welcome into our CitrusTV studios. A warm welcome at that with Nick Zelaya. I'm Cameron Ezeir. Nick, first off, it's great to be with you. We have a lot to cover on this show, but let me geek out for a second. Friday Night Football in the Dome had a light show. I know you were there. How'd you feel about it?
It was awesome. You walk up to the Dome, the orange blue lights shining into the sky. You get inside, pitch black, orange lights flashing everywhere. It was awesome. They play Clemson on Friday night again later this season. You need to go, Cam. You need to go.
I missed the light show, and I'm bummed about it because you can see the Dome from across campus, and I missed it. But let's just say $118 million renovation. It's definitely worth it. Now on to a light show-worthy announcement out of the SU men's lacrosse program. If you thought this coaching staff couldn't get more star-studded following the Dave Pietramala addition as defensive coordinator and Gary Gate as the new head man, last Friday, former NCAA lax player T.D. Erlin joined the Orange's staff as a volunteer assistant coach. As a player, Erlin spent time at UAlbany, Yale, and Denver, holding every Division I single season and career record for faceoffs and ground balls. Yeah, all of them. He also spent valuable time in the pros, picked fourth in the PLL this past summer. Erlin will look to take SU's face-off game up a notch, a group that wildly underperformed last season, ranking 26th in the nation in face-off percentage.
Defensive end Cody Roscoe was named the ACC Defensive Lineman of the Week after another dominant performance against Liberty Friday night. The senior sacked Malik Willis twice and also forced the game-winning fumble, which led to the game-winning field goal. He added 6 tackles and has already doubled his sack total from all of 2020. Roscoe now has 5 sacks over the last 2 games, and that ranks him second not just in the conference, but in all of Division I football.
So Nick, Roscoe played well off the edge. That was apparent and evident, but as head coach Dino Babers reminds all the media every week, you got to control all 3 facets of the game to win. Offense, defense, and special teams. A trio that has led SU to a 2-1 start thus far. Let's hit the highlights. As Liberty and Syracuse meeting for the 2nd straight season in the Dome, the Orange looking for revenge. Liberty trying to stay undefeated. Let's see why they're here at this point. Well, they're 3-0 because of this guy. QB1 Malik Willis, the Heisman candidate. He had all he wanted in the first quarter. He was phenomenal, but another fantastic position group is Syracuse defense. That mixed with a bevy of mistakes for the Flames led to a scoreless first quarter for Liberty. So let's go to the Syracuse end. The big news out of the day, Garrett Schrader is QB1, and he brought the aggression. Look at this, no helmet, no problem. But this is where the mistakes lie with Syracuse, the special teams department. Andre Schmidt missed the field goal, his 2nd miss of the season, a scoreless first for both teams. In the second, Garrett Schrader was done with this nonsense. He didn't want any more goose eggs on the scoreboard. He wanted to do it himself, utilizing his mobility, leaps across the line, put Syracuse up 7-0. And another guy that's really good at using his legs, but Sean Tucker in the backfield. 1 of 32 carries. That's a house call as number 34 waves goodbye to the Liberty defenders. But slow your horses. Malik Willis is still a Heisman candidate. That's a nice pass and catch over to Noah Frith. It would set up a touchdown pass to Shedro Lewis, which would cut the deficit in half. Syracuse up 14-7 at the break. We head to the second half, and it was the Garrett Schrader show, right? Dip-de-doo, gets to the end zone. Now you see me, now you don't. And Schrader into pay dirt for 6, makes it 21-7. Now 21-14. Willis has it. This is why he's so good. Why he has 7 touchdowns, no interceptions coming into this game. Back of the end zone, C.J. Daniels. That's a tie game. Crunch time. Fourth quarter, 3 minutes left. Willis goes down, ball is out. Michael Jones dives on it, and Syracuse just needs to waste out the clock and then hand the keys of the Cadillac to this guy. Old reliable Andre Schmidt splits the uprights and gives Syracuse a 24-21 win. Syracuse improves to 3-1 on the season. Our very own Brad Klein was in the Dome to experience this thriller and even more.
Mississippi State transfer quarterback Garrett Schrader found out he was making his first start in Orange just 2 hours before the game. And while he did lead SU to a 24-21 win over Liberty, the aerial attack was non-existent. Head coach Dino Baber said he had to keep the offense simple. Just control the ground game, right foot in front of left. But an abbreviated offense going forward means there might be more to work on than celebrate.
We need to throw the ball better. I mean, I'm not going to, in dealing with quarterbacks and dealing with offenses and dealing with football teams, you have to have certain standards, and the standards can't change, and you can't settle for things.
I just got to make those throws. I mean, I got to go watch them and see exactly what happened. For some of them, it felt like I was waiting a little bit long, and it's always hard to replicate exactly how it's going to be in a game, but, I mean, my answer is I got to make them.
The team that we were playing this week, we really felt that there were certain things that we could take advantage of with Garrett Schrader's legs, okay? We can't guarantee that we're going to be able to do what we did tonight versus some other opponents that are on our schedule.
It's no secret the offense was pretty simple under Garrett Schrader, but that's okay. The job at hand became even simpler late in the fourth quarter here at the 30-yard line when the defense strip sacked projected top 10 pick Malik Willis. And at that point for Schrader, the job at hand was just hold on to the football and set up Andre Schmidt for the 35-yard winner. Now, Schrader is slated to start against Florida State next week, but Baber says anything is possible with Tommy DeVito lurking in the shadows on the sideline. For Citrus TV, I'm Brad Klein.
Brad, great coverage as always. And if there's one takeaway from this game and this season in general, it's the man in the backfield, Sean Tucker. Should he have number 44? I'm not here to speculate, but what I can say, he's stamping his mark on a season that could include Heisman votes. Okay, might seem a bit ambitious, but the stats back up that claim. Second in the nation in rushing yards. This guy's under 100 yards away from his season total last year. That's wild. And you take into account his ability to receive, and Tucker leads the NCAA in all-purpose yards. He essentially has a permanent address in the end zone at this time and knows a bit about chunk plays, slotting in as an early season ACC standout, or on Tucker's Twitter account, a good season so far.
The dome looks nice and all for football, but how about adding some bleachers at the 40-yard line and some wood flooring to play some hoops? Happy to bring in our women's basketball beat reporter, Stephen Sklar. Stephen, thanks for joining me in the studio.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. And you look at this team 6 months ago to today, completely different. 3 scholarship players returning from last year. What exactly should we look in for this Von Reed-led squad?
Well, you can't expect a lot out of them. Not a lot of players returned from last year's roster after the rest of the country pillaged it. But let's talk about the returning players. As you mentioned, only 3 scholarship players come back: Priscilla Williams, Ava Irvin, Tisha Hyman. Now, Priscilla Williams, you may know, she started in 19 out of 20 games, but Ava Irvin and Tisha Hyman didn't play a lot or didn't play at all last season. There's a silver lining to all of this, though. The transfer outs open the door for the transfer ins, like Christiana Carr and Jayla Thornton, to get immediate playing time.
Yeah, and now taking a look at the schedule, which was released just a couple weeks ago. For the first month, you have some non-conference opponents, so what exactly should Syracuse look for in those first 4 or 5 games?
Well, I want to take it easy on the expectations because it's not fair to set any for this team, especially during the non-conference part of their schedule. Partly because of how inexperienced this team is. Like the games against Monmouth, Morgan State, and Central Connecticut State, in past years we would say Syracuse wins these games handily because they're Syracuse and they're the little guys. But you can't judge everything at face value this season. It's going to be totally different.
It's really going to be a test, especially with this team. Not much experience, like we mentioned. And, of course, there's the conference games, which get going in December into January. This team finished 9-7 in the ACC last year. What should we expect in the conference for the 2021-22 season?
I'm going to keep a consistent theme. You should expect nothing out of them just yet because there are still some really good teams in this conference, like Louisville. They add some impactful players. They're really not going anywhere because of those impactful players that they've brought on. You have a team like Duke, who's massive. They have tall players across the board. They're going to be a physical mismatch for anyone in the country. And then you also have to look at a team like NC State. The door is wide open for them to win the ACC this year. They've been close in the past, but now I think is the time where they break through.
Yeah, Louisville winners 3 of the last 4 years in the ACC. Stay tuned in all season to @StephenA. on Twitter for complete women's basketball coverage. Their first game will be November 10th at home against Monmouth. And after the break, Cam and I will hit the pitch to talk some Q soccer. The men have been scoring a ton of goals this month. The women, not so much. Hear how the two teams fared over the weekend against some ACC foes when we come back.
Mommy.
En tu nuevo rol te ayudamos a cuidar. Llama al 1-888-971-2013 y obtén información para cuidar mejor a quien cuidó de ti.
Tomás es muy buena gente. Es más, míralo. ¡Qué dulzura! Buen trabajo. Espera, Tomás, ¿qué estás haciendo? ¿Qué tan egoísta e inesperado de ti? Tomás, ¿por qué? ¿Por qué?
Welcome back into On the Bench. Cameron Ezeir with Nick Zelaya on this gorgeous Tuesday night in Syracuse. The site of so many SU sports, it's often too hard to count. So instead, let's recap. Nick, that sounds like a plan?
Absolutely, Cam.
Why not? Let's do it. Let's take a trip to SU Soccer Stadium, where the men's team is winless in its last 2 games, but still a game over 500. Duke on the other side, and this Blue Devils team is clicking on all cylinders with back-to-back wins over ranked opponents. But it's the ACC, you know the drill. Conference play is always up for grabs. Syracuse in the middle of the Atlantic Division, Duke tops the Coastal. And watch Syracuse at the start, just 10 minutes into this one, trying to gain some momentum. A couple shots from Byros, the Akron transfer, but then it's Duke on the prowl. 20 minutes in, Amir Daly tries to flick it on Cage, only finds side netting. That results in a scoreless first half for both teams, and this is where discipline lacked for Syracuse. 2 yellow cards within the first minute, 5 overall. That's not a good sign for the Orange. Now, a great sign for Duke is how this team is playing on defense. Syracuse had 10 shots, but couldn't find the net thus far. Here comes Duke. It's Lopez on a line, but great denial by Don Howard, and now under 10 minutes to go. Could Duke find the breakthrough? Yes, they could. How about that goal? Slots it home, puts Duke up 1-0. It's Olfenstein, and now with 3 minutes left. Here comes Busquets as he's tripped. Is that a penalty? It's not. No whistle. Here's the kick in. Kent can't get his head on it. The 6th-ranked Blue Devils take this.
It's football season here in Syracuse, and the Orange seem to get that memo. A game in which Syracuse had as many yellow cards as shots on goal ended in heartbreak as Duke pulled out a nail-biting 1-0 victory at the SU Soccer Stadium. Despite the loss, head coach Ian McIntyre only saw a great game of soccer.
This was a good game. They're a terrific team. I'm big fans of their coaching staff. If you came, wonderful crowd, and this was a fun college soccer game. If you're a fan of our team, if you're a fan of soccer, you went home realizing that this was a good ACC college match, and I hope we can keep getting people to come out and enjoy the football, and hopefully we can win a few games down the stretch as well.
We have to be more aggressive in front of goal, and we create a lot of chances. You can see that we can prove that the first team on the other conference of the ACC, Duke, didn't have any more chances than us, and we just got to put it on the net.
Next up for the Orange, a regional showdown Tuesday right here at the SU Soccer Stadium with Vermont. Now it'll be interesting to see if star forward DeAndre Kerr returns for that one, as he missed tonight's contest with an injury. Reporting from the SU Soccer Stadium, Danny Tao, Citrus TV.
Thanks, Danny. For the women, they started the season on fire, winning 4 of their first 5 games, the best start in half a decade for the Orange. But since September 5th, the team hasn't won a game, and it's like a cage was put in front of the goal because they've scored once during that span. They were in action this past week, starting Thursday against Louisville, and Syracuse outscored 7-0 over the last 2 games against Notre Dame and UConn. And the Cardinals, they were trying to attack early, 5th minute. That's Anouk Denton, but Lizzie and Prue diving on the dirt, deflecting that one. Just a few minutes later, though, Louisville, they strike. 13th minute, Delaney Snyder, her 3rd goal of the season. Katie Murphy, she was trying to get the Syracuse on the board just a bit to the right. Both teams went into the break. 1-0 still. Second half action now. Syracuse, they came out attacking, but great defense by Gabby Kazoulis, the goalkeeper for Louisville. But here, Syracuse, they finally strike. Megan Root flicking it over the head of Kazoulis, tying this thing all up late in the second half now. Louisville trying to attack. That's Prue again with the spectacular save. And this is Nikki Adams' worst nightmare. A penalty in the box, and Louisville able to convert. That's Anouk Denton. She wins it for the Cardinals 2-1. So Syracuse losing another one. They tried to bounce back the next day. The task didn't get too much easier on Sunday. The Demon Deacons making their way to SU Soccer Stadium. And early on, Hulda Arnar-Sturdier, she finds her way off the corner, deflecting it into the net, giving Wake Forest an early 1-0 lead. This time, Asia Cobb trying to find some advantage for the Orange, loses her step and shoots it right off the mark. Again, Cobb trying to do something. This Wake Forest defense is unbelievable. Wake Forest outscoring opponents 26-1 in their first 10 games. Shayla Smart finds Zara Chavoshi 2-0, crosses it into the hands of Prue, deflects it off, and Wake Forest will come out victorious 2-0.
From the SU soccer pitch that can be described in a game of categories. What is something one sets for oneself? What am I sitting under? And what has Syracuse been struggling to find enough of? The answer? Goals. Syracuse loses 2-0 to Wake Forest, the top-ranked ACC opponent. But this was a game of absolute physicality.
Yeah, I mean, it was getting a little chippy there. I'm sure, some frustration about what was happening on the field too. Results and get some more chippy, but that's just the momentum of the game.
It's not like Syracuse didn't have their scoring opportunities in this game. The Wake Forest again, a very physical team, and Syracuse is playing with a lot of injuries and a lot of freshmen being tasked with stepping up.
You look at other players who I'm transitioning to be forwards or defenders, Kylan, Kendall, Murphy.
Our job is to make sure they're excited to be out there, and despite what the result is, we just keep learning from it.
Right. The message is to fight every day and that everyone matters, and it doesn't matter who's out there, we need everyone. So
yeah.
The Demon Deacons take the victory 2-0 from Syracuse, and they enter double digits in the win column. But Syracuse will venture out on the road next week, where they'll match up against Duke Saturday night at 7. But until then, from the SU soccer pitch, I'm Jesse Cook, Citrus TV Sports.
And for the women, the struggles seem never ending. 3 straight games getting shut out, and the injuries aren't helping in the slightest. 5 starters are off the field, and it's taking some adjustment time for a young squad looking to get back in the win column.
Now, it wasn't pretty against Duke for the men's soccer team, but they're putting up otherworldly numbers. I know you didn't see it in that game, but 17 goals in the month of September. It's DeAndre Kerr spearheading the effort. Give him a touchdown on the goal sheet in September. Well, we're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. Plenty of highlights to get to with sights set on the win column. We'll be right back for On the Bench.
Fancy pants peanut butter? a big screen television. You haven't even bought a sofa yet.
A motorcycle? When your father finds out, he's gonna flip his shoes with 2 buckles? What do you even need 2 buckles for? Mr. Big Shot, buying whiskey shots for everybody in the bar. From the looks of it, I'd say nobody even remembers. Feed the pig.
On the bench continues to chug along with Nick Zelaya. I'm Cameron Ezeir. And Nick, I have to ask, how's your volleyball game? Have you been working on it over the summer?
Well, Cam, back in middle school, I would hit that thing up and it would hit the light a couple times. We've been trying to work on it, but it's a work in progress, to say the least.
Making improvements, I can't really say anything about my volleyball game because it's not there either. But I will tell you a mind-boggling stat. SU volleyball is 11-1, its best start in a decade, and the best way to head into ACC play. I promise I didn't rhyme that on purpose. Enough of me. Let's get to Syracuse and BC. The Golden Eagles at 10-4 on the season. To a conference tilt we go, the Orange and Golden Eagles ready for some night volleyball? Yeah, 8 p.m. start to be exact, but no one was tired to start this one, especially the BC Golden Eagles. They came out firing. How about Alana Crabtree? One of her 4 kills on the game. BC takes the first set. How's SU going to respond? What about its Caracas to Franco, who punches it home, gives Syracuse the second set. On to the third set we go. This is where Syracuse faltered. 25 attack errors, that's the most on the season, gave BC that third set. Now the decisive fourth set, what's this game going to be decided on? There you go, it's a doink that swerves out of play. Syracuse loses to BC 3-1. But guess what? A chance at redemption 4 days later in Durham against Duke. Leonard Yellen, the head coach for Syracuse, egging his players on, probably along the lines of, let's take set number 1. Think the Orange heard him. How about Polina Shamana strike, smashing it down to the ground later in the first set. Syracuse trying to build on that momentum. Guess what? They're able to with a little fortune on the top shelf after some great digs by Duke. Watch this play. Setting it up, a tip, finds hardwood. That's going to give Syracuse the point, give Syracuse the first set at the end of the day. And SU, they were relentless on the kills. Right here, you're going to see it. How about that? Right into the breadbasket. That's Shamanova. She was phenomenal. Syracuse leads 2-0, and they didn't slow down. Gets that lead. That is a lead for Syracuse in the third set. This is how it would end. Markova, no mercy. Holy smokes. Syracuse takes this one 3-0 as the Orange win in straight sets over Duke.
Coming off a big win against the number 3 team in the country, Syracuse field hockey had their confidence level at 1,000 entering a pair of Ivy League games with Cornell and Penn. Let's get right to the highlights. Syracuse now ranked 12th in the nation. Cornell, they're coming off a double OT loss to the number 1 team in the country in Michigan. And Aaron Park, the junior for Cornell, a couple big saves early on, trying to keep this team in this game. There's Carolyn Hoffman missing the shot again. Park deflecting it, but Syracuse, they were struggling in the first half. Second half now, DeVries, they just can't find the net off the post, but DeVries off the penalty corner. She finally does it. Her teammate sets her up. DeVries knocks it in. The lone goal of the game. Penalty corner is enough, and Syracuse, they win 1-0, their third straight victory. So Wednesday, it was a shutout. What about on Sunday against the Quakers of Pennsylvania? The Orange wrapping up a road trip in Philadelphia. So Syracuse, they shot and they missed, trying to get some momentum early on for this team. And then Grazioso finally the back of the net, and Sabian Payman not able to save it. So Syracuse gets out to the early 1-0 lead. That would be the score going into the half. Another penalty corner now, and Syracuse can't find the net on that one. UPenn, an opportunity late in the game, A shot goes in, but is missed. A penalty off the mark. Syracuse trying to add on to their lead. They do right here. Queeran Comans calls an ISO play, a comfortable 2-0 lead for Syracuse, and they would run out the clock and come out victorious. Back-to-back road wins to end the road trip. Syracuse wins 2-0.
A couple wins to close out the action on the bench. And when we come back, it's time to put on a bow on this week with our performers of the week. Who are they? We'll tell you after the break.
1 in 3 adults has pre-diabetes. That means it could be you, your favorite brother, your other brother, you, your football buddy, your football buddy, you, your plumber,
Breathe right into your foot.
your plumber's masseuse,
Yes.
you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. With early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
I see you mobbing over her. Let's go. Let's mob. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, we mobbing. Come on, girl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl.
What are you, superheroes?
Just 4 brothers who hate bullies and love this city. Gear up, guys.
Wrapping up on the bench, as we always do on Cameron Ezeir, he's Nick Zelaya. Let's head to our performers of the week. Nick, who do you have at number 1?
Well, 2 for 3 so far this season. It's Sean Tucker, and he has been unbelievable so far. Awesome performance against Liberty this past Friday night. 169 yards on 32 carries. His back-to-back 100-yard games for the first time in his career. He rushed the ball 32 times for 169 yards. Half of the carries and half of the plays were for Sean Tucker. It even appears Syracuse has a top 5 Heisman candidate, according to someone who knows a little bit about winning a Heisman Award.
Wow, and I'm going to guess it was RG3, but for my second one, I'm giving it to Marina Markova. Let's show some love to one of the top middle blockers in the ACC. Markova posted a ridiculous 56% hitting clip against conference rival Duke. She's been great all season. Nick, who do you have at 3?
Well, I've got not just one player, but 23. The entire field hockey team. Syracuse might be known as a field hockey school going forward. This team now ranks 11th in the country. They just wrapped up a 4-1 road trip, which included victories over a pair of top 12 opponents, most recently a shutout against UPenn, and they've got all the momentum in the world coming back home.
It's unfortunate, but that's going to do it for us on the Bench. I'm Cameron Ezeir. Here's Nick Zelaya. Why not hit the best part of the show? It's the highlights of the week.
Speaking of fast, Sean Tucker's a track star. Another first down for the Orange on the ground. Dangerous. There he goes. Sean Tucker to the crib. House call for the Cuse. Schrader fakes the give and the pitch. Breaks a tackle. Schrader to the house.